All right, Matt, I'm back and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the mistakes I've made in flipping homes over the years. Now, there's probably a list of 100 things that I could talk about, but we're going to talk about 4 or 5 today. So one of the first ones that's still a little bit painful for me because it's embarrassing because I should know better is rushing your due diligence. So I bought a house kind of in an older part of town. It was an old house, like built in the late 1800s. So I should have known that there could be some issues with the foundation. Not only did the floor slope inside, but you know, it's an old house. And I had plenty of time to do due diligence and check this out. But I didn't, right? I just figured it's got a foundation, the house hasn't fallen down yet, and so who needs to worry about it? So fast forward, we remodel the home. We spent $45,000 on this small 700 square foot home, and the buyers do their inspections. And what do they find? That there's no foundation on the home. So what does that mean for me? Is now I have to fix it. And I have to fix it after the fact, once I've already remodeled the inside, spruced up the yard on the outside. And so net result to me was losing money and about a $22,000 lesson because I did fix the foundation. It's got the best foundation in the world now, but it cost me 20 grand and I lost money. So what I should have done was done some very simple due diligence. I knew it was an old house. I knew the foundation could be an issue, and it was very visible that the floors were wavy. So that is 100% on me. Now there's many other things that could have come up there when rushing your due diligence. Maybe you don't check for meth. Maybe you don't check the sewer scope. Maybe you don't, have the roof evaluated. So my next point is not only do you sometimes rush your due diligence, but then once you have legitimate due diligence items that come up, we need to go back and address those with the seller and ask for a discount. And sometimes you can even ask for a discount if there's nothing really that came up that's different, just because maybe you're off on your price. Quick point on that is a friend of mine is working a deal in her own backyard, and she locked up the price at $475. After doing some more investigation on the house, we just determined that she was just a little too high on price. So she already had a good relationship with the seller, and she went back and asked for a new price of $415,000. They came back at $430, settled on $425. She got a $50,000 discount just by asking. She was very tempted to just walk away from the deal, but encouraged her to just ask, because she was the only one offering on the house. It was not on the market. So it can be situational when is appropriate to go back and ask, given where you're already at in the value proposition and your price. And then, but always ask, and especially ask if there's a good reason to. So going back to my example of my foundation, if I would have found out about that ahead of time and then asked for a discount, I think I maybe could have got $40,000 off, spent $20,000, and instead of losing $10,000, I probably would have made $30,000 just by not rushing my due diligence and then asking for a discount. So the third problem that I've had in the past, and you're noticing some of these are self-induced, right? Some of the market risk stuff, you know what, it's okay. You can't control it. You can't foresee future events or the market, sliding or something like that. But sometimes you feel like you have to have that deal so bad that you say yes to it, and it's maybe not that good of a deal. You always got to remember that even though there could be a scarcity or the market's really hot and there's not as many deals out there, there's always another bus that's going to be coming by that you can catch. You don't always have to take the one that's in front of you. Now, some of that is situational, meaning if I have 0 flips going and flipping is my business, and I have crews waiting to get on houses that I might lose if they don't get a next house, I might buy a house that's a little thinner of a deal that I don't love as much, just to keep the momentum going. But on the flip side, if you have 10 flips going on and you have a couple marginal deals in front of you, it is okay to say no. I have screwed up many times by saying yes to too many deals. And then what happens leads into my fourth point is I'm not prepared to handle all of them. And it's hard enough to do 1 or 2 at a time, but then when you throw 3, 4, 5, or 6 that aren't that great of a deal and you're having to wait to start them, your interest is accruing, and because you're waiting for a crew, because you didn't have enough teams built out to handle all of your inventory that you have, you are going to lose money because that home's going to be sitting there for longer. You're going to spend more in interest, and then you're always going to be scrambling to put it together. Which kind of wraps up my 5th point for this video, is always, always, always begin with the end in mind. Have the vision of what you want the house to look at before you start it, so that you can back in and map out and plan out from day one everything that you want to go into the home. What's the paint going to look like? What's the carpet going to look like? Who are your potential people to do all of this stuff? What's the final process going to look like to list it? By doing that and being intentional from the start, it allows you to move a lot quicker with less stress, with less headaches. The last thing you want to be doing is making decisions every day on the house. It's much easier to just go through the pain and suffering of deciding on everything up front. So then you have a menu, you have a recipe, you have a guidebook of where you're going, and it's so much easier for them to hand it off to your contractor, your handyman, or whatever, to just follow the plan. And then all you're doing is following up, making sure they're staying inside those guidelines that we've established. And then what it really does is it gives you the confidence that you can do 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time, because you're not reinventing the wheel every time. You invent the wheel once by having the end in mind. So to recap quickly, don't rush your due diligence. Ask for a discount, especially if there's a due diligence items, but be aware of what market you're in. You may want to not jeopardize losing the contract because you're asking for something when you already have a good price. So make sure you are smart about when you ask, but ask feeling like you have to say yes to every deal. Don't worry, there's another bus that's going to come around the corner, meaning another opportunity, another house. Don't do more than you can handle, and be prepared. Have the end in mind and map out that house ahead of time based on how you want it to look. And it's magical. 10 times out of 10, if you do it right, that house is going to turn out almost identical to how you had it on your vision board and how you mapped it out. So hopefully that helps. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you want the free resources as far as my fix and flip calculator or any of the resources I have, click on the link below and we'll catch you on the next one.